I'm 29 years old, and every day I wake up grateful to be living the life that I am living. I have my dream job. I'm a professional athlete. I fight people in a cage for a living. I read 100 books a year, and that brings so much value and joy and color to my life. I get to spend a lot more time at home than most people with my wife and my children. My life is peaceful. It is productive. It is so amazing, and I'm so fortunate. But if there was one thing I could improve upon, it is my productivity. I get so much done, but I'm always conscious of the time and effort that I am wasting. And that is why the virtue of this week is productivity. Let's work on it. Welcome to the reading vlog. Happy Monday. So, why is the theme of the week productivity? Well, it all started because 3 weeks ago, me and the wife made the decision to buy a new dishwasher. And why is this important to me? Why is this a monumental change? I have OCD. I have a very particular way of washing dishes. It's very time consuming. I have to fill up the dishwasher in a very perfect way. Certain things can't be in certain places. It's a really annoying, tedious thing. But I did some studying, and supposedly the new dishwasher that we have will allow me to not have to scrub. I will be able to put things in their place all willy-nilly, and it should save me a lot of time. Why is that not all a good thing in my messed up brain? I find a lot of peace in doing dishes. I'm a big fan of, like, if you can't do everything, focus on one thing you can do, focus on something. Something's always better than nothing. And what I do when I get home after working, I do dishes and I do laundry. Those are my two chores. I'm good at those chores. It makes me feel like a very helpful husband. So the idea that when I came to the realization, I am wasting so many hours of my month, of my year, of my life doing dishes, even though I don't hate it, it's not a productive, useful, thing to do with my time. So we just spent a few $100 extra and bought a new dishwasher, and it should free up a lot of time. And I thought if I'm already being productive this week, I may as well add some productive habits. So the work of nonfiction that I am reading this week, as long as some of the works of fiction that I'll talk about later, the work of nonfiction is Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. Newport, like the cigarettes. I read Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, 2 weeks ago. And that very much is like a sequel, a companion work to this book, because in 2024, we have so many distractions. We're all unhappy. Social media, constant email, constant connection makes us very shallow thinkers. We can't focus deeply on anything. We can't work efficiently at anything because we're always getting distracted. We're always having to deal with attention residue. When you focus on something, you check your text messages, and your brain takes some time to switch over, to switch gears. Being able to focus on one task for an extended period of time allows you to make quality work. And why is this something I'm so passionate about? I am a martial artist. I'm a professional athlete. I think one of the main things that either makes or breaks your career is how well are you able to focus on important things, on techniques, on tactics, on attributes that have the greatest positive effect on your career. I have so many people, and I feel I can say this, that work harder than me. They are more consistent with their road work. They go to class. They do everything they're supposed to, but they don't think. They're just doing a little bit of everything as opposed to focusing on what can make them great. So, yes, I'm trying to apply some of this thinking into my daily life. One of the goals for this week, I want to film 7 videos for the BookTube channel. I want to take notes. I want to get scripts written out. I want to build better habits because productivity, it's only scary if you're trying to do everything all at once, trying to rush it, trying to procrastinate it. And if you can just make better habits, being productive is easy. So let's see how this week goes. Goodbye, old friend. You served us well. Oh, hello, darling. Today I started a new book which goes perfectly with the theme of the week. The book is Slow Productivity by Cal Newport. Newport, like the cigarettes. I read his book, Deep Work, 2 weeks ago. And the whole concept of slow productivity seems like a misnomer to me, but we'll see what it's all about. I really am blessed that I get to live a life where I get to do very few things. I wake up, I spend time with my family, I train hard, I recover, I eat good, healthy food, I read good books, I go to sleep, I do it on repeat 6 days a week, every every week for the last 10 years. That's been my routine for the most part. There were some slight variations when I was in school and working, but I still have always kept that same routine, that same rhythm. The ability and the blessing and the privilege of being able to focus on just a few things has brought so much value and comfort and joy to my life. That is for sure. Wednesday, day 2 of the new dishwasher. I'm already in love. We've already done like 5 loads of dishes, got so many dishes done, saved so much time. I don't have to scrub things nearly as much. And it goes perfectly with what I was reading today. I'm on part 2 of slow productivity. And part 2 is split into 3 parts, which kind of explain the 3 pillars of his slow productivity theory. First pillar, do fewer things. And at first, when I read that, it didn't really make too much sense because you think being productive means doing several things, getting lots of things done. But when you're able to focus on a few things, you do higher quality work, you make better, more progress. And that makes sense because, as I mentioned earlier, there's attention residue. When you're switching your attention from 40 different things, 40 different project activities, ideas, you're not going to do any of those things very well. There's always going to be that attention residue as you transfer over from subject to subject. I'm very blessed because in my professional life, I get to focus on just a few things. I know exactly what I'm working on every damn day for the rest of the month, and it allows me to be able to just enjoy those moments of serendipity. I get to have inspiration because I have a schedule, because I have the privilege of focusing on just a few things. And the new dishwasher allows me to be more productive at home. I have more free time at home, and it's just one less thing to worry about. So that's definitely a quality of life thing that was worth the investment. I know it's probably only saved me like an hour of time so far, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I'm loving slow productivity. I really believe in doing fewer things. We'll see how I feel about the other pillars. But yeah, so far, so good. The final 2 pillars of slow productivity are work at a more natural pace and obsess over quality. Obsessing over quality is very easy to me. Working at a more natural pace, not easy to me. Obsessing over quality, I believed in that very strongly about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. I moved to Pahrump, which is a city about 45 minutes to an hour away from Las Vegas. I grew up in Las Vegas. I was born there. It was the only place I've ever known. But I had to now commute an hour there and an hour back every day. It's the price I had to pay for cheaper housing. But one advantage I got from the commute is it made me really focus on the quality of the work I was doing. I started realizing that a lot of the workouts, a lot of the things I was practicing were useless to me. And now that I was driving 2 hours every day to take part in this training, to practice these techniques, I valued my work time a lot more because I had to make the trek. So now I obsess over quality. I don't train anything if it doesn't pertain to what I'm trying to accomplish in my fight career. And it's led to a lot of improvements. Working at a more natural pace, on the other hand, is something I struggle with. I come from a wrestling background. There's a reason why they say after you wrestle in life, everything else is easy. Wrestling is amongst the hardest things I've ever done, like outside of fatherhood. Wrestling was such a grind. You were always in pain. You were always starving. You were always pushing yourself. You were always practicing in a very stupid way that wasn't sustainable. So when I started fighting professionally, I tried to bring that same grind. I was working harder than I needed to be. I was always pushing myself to 100. I started getting injured a lot as I got past my mid 20s. I started like reaching diminishing returns because it is better to do a consistent 75% every day than it is to do 100% one day, then 40% the next day because you're recovering. So I realized that working at a more natural pace, that's something I need to do, but I still struggle with it. I even struggled with it when it came to this BookTube channel. I remember the original goal for 2024 was to upload 200 videos this year, which is an astronomical amount for someone who's never consistently uploaded to YouTube. I even did a video every day of March, and that almost killed me. working at a more natural pace is so necessary if you're trying to focus on improving your art in any type of art form. And I struggle with that. Obsessing over quality, I like being able to do that. I find a lot of value in that. But yes, working at natural pace, learning how to do it. Saturday night, I finished both Blackwater and Productivity today. Two really good books. On the whole concept of slow productivity, Blackwater was a massive book, almost 800 pages, very glacial, lots of character work, encompasses like 60 years of history. And I'm so glad I took my time going through it. If I could have binged it in a week and a half, but I wouldn't have been able to absorb everything. And I think the fact that I read it in a productive like pace, but a very slow productive pace really allowed me to get a lot more value out of the read. So why did I like slow productivity? The book was really good. I do think it was actually quite a slow read. I think it could have actually been a quicker read, funnily enough. But the idea of focusing on quality over quantity, focusing on doing fewer tasks, focusing on working at a more natural pace. And that'll help you find your groove, that'll help you find deep work, that'll help you find meaning in what you do in your day to day. And I think it's just super relevant to my day job because slow productivity, it's mostly for knowledge workers or for people who have a lot of autonomy in their day-to-day actions. Because a lot of people that work in offices and in knowledge work in the present day, they are constantly bombarded with distractions and Zoom meetings and useless busyness that doesn't really create value. And that's a holdover from like the whole factory mindset of productivity. Like, oh, you make them work 10, like 2x more hours a day putting together these parts of a car. That's going to add up to a measurable increase in value. But when you take that same principle to the modern economy, where it's a lot hard to measure the value or measure like the time and effort to equals to value when it comes to work, it's very hard to calculate that. It's very hard to quantify the value of that work. And I think that's a big blind spot in the modern economy. And that's something that Cal Newport spotlights. And as a professional athlete, as a mixed martial artist, I know so many people that they tell me like, "Oh, I had 4 sessions today," and I see that they're not getting any better. Like a month, 2 months, a year down the line, and it's like, what's the point of being busy if you're not productive? You know, smart, productive work leads to smart, productive employees. It leads to smart, productive fighters, martial artists, what have you. Being busy is not an end all be all. And I think a lot of people have replaced the idea of being productive with being busy. Everyone you know is busy. Very few people you meet are productive. Tomorrow, I'm going to see what I'm going to do. Sunday night, the final page count for this week 652 pages. I read about 200 pages of Dungeon Crawler Carl over the last 36 hours. I'll be finishing that next week. 652 pages is really damn good, especially considering that I didn't read any manga this week, and Slow Productivity was a very slow read for me. I will say I'm very happy with what I was able to get done. So 2 weeks ago, I read another one of Cal Newport's books, Deep Work. And one of the techniques and tactics that I use from that book is a Roosevelt Blitz. Essentially, you set a timer, you pick the task you're going to focus on for that set amount of time, and then you just go until the timer runs out. I've been using that to write out a bunch of scripts for YouTube videos. And over the last 2 weeks, I think I've done a blitz every day except for 3. So I've gotten 11 scripts written out for videos. And that's really good for me. The new dishwasher saved me so much time. I honestly believe that like about 150 pages that I finished this week are all because of the new dishwasher. I also started using Canva Pro. I just decided to bite the bullet, pay for a year subscription because Canva comes with so many tools, AI, things you use to create YouTube thumbnails because better YouTube thumbnails should get more people to find my video. So hopefully will mark a turning point for the channel. I finished Blackwater and it is the best book of the year so far. I already have the script written out for a long form video for that. I also am going to be releasing a short about it, and I may even mention Blackwater on my social media, on my Instagram, on my business account, because I try to keep my reading separate from my fighting. But maybe I shouldn't be so scared about that because I'm trying to be better at like showing my whole identity online, even if that means there'll be a few trolls for my day job. So, yeah, productivity. I was pretty happy with that for this week. I was very productive. I got some good reading done. I really think I'm going to be reading a lot more lit RPGs, a lot more funny fantasy, funny sci fi, because when I'm having fun, I read a lot more. When you're enjoying yourself, it's much easier to read at a more natural pace. When I read more than one nonfiction book a week, I have trouble focusing. I have trouble getting through a lot of my reads. But the last 2 months or so, when I've been reading a lot more funny books, I really feel like I've been reading a lot more and enjoying myself. And I think that bodes well for the future of this channel. So, yeah, I got 6 scripts written out this week. I finished 2 books, got about 250 pages done of Dungeon Crawler Carl, and I'm super ecstatic to see what next week has in store for me. Thank you guys for watching this reading vlog where I read and I think things. I think this week was pretty damn good, but next week's going to be even better. A lot more videos on the horizon. I'll talk to you guys next week.